In today's lesson, I'm going to be demoing a math instruction lesson for 3rd through 5th grade. The material that I'm going to be using today is from Savvas, and it is a 4th grade lesson, but these strategies would work for 3rd through 5th grade students. So let's get started. Before my students come in, I'm going to have a few things set up on my ViewBoard so that we're ready to get started for the day. And a couple of those things I'm going to have open are the My ViewBoard whiteboard. I'm also going to have Chrome open with a couple tabs ready. I have the student book ready from Savvas. I have the practice page that I'm going to do together as a class. And I also have a few things already loaded into my Google Drive that I'm going to be pulling in for this lesson. Of course, you don't have to have all this up and ready to go, but it just helps the start of your lesson go a little bit smoother. Before we get started into Savvas, I want my students to do a number talk. And I'm going to do that with a number talk that I found online that I have put into my Google Drive, and now I'm going to pull up that Google Drive file in my ViewBoard whiteboard. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over to the magic box. When I tap on the magic box, it's going to give me the option to open files from my drive. If you have not set up connecting your Google Drive to my ViewBoard whiteboard or done the my ViewBoard whiteboard setup, I suggest you watch that video as well so that your setup can be just like mine and you have all these tools available to teach this lesson. So down here I have that file in a folder. I'm going to double tap on it, and then now I'm going to pull this image into the canvas. So I'm going to tap on it. And actually, let's see if it changes it. Nope. So when I pulled this image in, it put it sideways, and I needed to zoom out so that I could rotate it the correct way. And now I'm ready to go with my students. Think of this just like if your phone or your tablet had something moved and you need to zoom in or zoom out. It's the same actions on here if you're familiar with that movement as well, where you would kind of pinch and then pull away to make it bigger. So I want to do this with my students, and I just want to give them a minute or two to think about it. I don't want them to write it down. Then when they're done thinking, we're going to use the number talk hand signals to signal that we're ready with an answer, and I'm going to listen to their responses and be using my pen tool to write their answers up here. This is a great way for them to hear how other people have thought through the problem or different strategies that they might not have thought of while they were working out the problem. And so I want them to do this mentally, and then the biggest part is to share their thinking, share how they talked through this strategy. And then when we are done with this, then I'm going to just open up a new page, and I will be ready to go with my lesson in Savvas. I'm going to have my students start taking notes in their math notebooks, and I'm going to get started in those in my ViewBoard whiteboard. And the way that I'm going to do that is over here in the bottom corner, there is a button that will bring up backgrounds. And the first background up here is lined paper. So I'm going to bring in that lined paper, and it's going to prompt and ask me, do I want this on every page or just this one page? And we are going to continue to take notes on multiple pages, but for this, I'm just going to put it on this one page. I'm going to choose this page, and now I have lined paper here that I can write notes with my students. So we're going to start off at the top by writing 4-4, and this is subtracting. We're going to talk about the learning intentions, the success criteria, whatever it is that you have your students write down in their math notebooks. I may start introducing some vocabulary if there's going to be new vocabulary words. And again, I can write that all right here. I don't have to have it in a math notebook underneath a document camera. The great thing about having this is when I'm done with my lesson, I can save all of these notes and everything that I do with my students back into my Google Drive. So if I have a Google Classroom, or I email my students, or I just want to print out PDFs to have available for kids who were absent that day or had to leave my class, I have all of that available in my Google Drive. Will also help me as a teacher, because in the following years, I have a record now in my Google Drive of what I did with my students. So planning in the future gets a little bit easier because I remember what I already had done in years past. So we're going to continue to write notes. I have my teacher's manual. We are going through taking down whatever notes. And now I want us to watch a video on YouTube to do a couple practice problems together. So I'm going to open up a new page. And then I'm going to choose the magic box right here. When I open that, it's going to give me the option to choose YouTube. And from here, I'm going to search the name of the video that I want to show my students. This is a whole YouTube search, so if you don't know the name, you can search it up here. But again, it's good to be prepared and know the name of what it is that you're looking for. So I'm going to search for the name of the video. And when it comes up, I'm going to press and drag it onto my canvas. Now I have this video. I can drag it over here to the side. I can make it full screen, whatever works for your teaching style. But for me, I'm going to have it over to the side. We're going to watch a part of it. And when it gets to a spot where we are doing some math problems, I'm going to pause it and I'm going to take a screenshot of it. When I take a screenshot, then I can use my pen tools to do the math with my students, and they can now be writing it into their notebooks. So I'm going to take a screenshot by tapping on this screen capture icon. It puts a picture behind the video that I can then move over to the side, zoom in, and now I have the problem here that I can use the pen tools and work on the answer with my students. As we go through, I can keep playing, pausing, taking a screenshot, and now I have a record of all those problems that we had done together. So if a kid in your class isn't as quick and keeping up with the rest of the class, you still have it right over here for them to reference. Then I'm going to go back into Savvas, and the easiest way for me to do that, to go back and forth from my ViewBoard whiteboard into the curriculum or into Chrome or whatever I need to use on my actual computer, I just have to tap one button. And that button is this button right here, this Windows logo or Windows icon button. Before I do that, I'm going to add another slide to my whiteboard so that I have a blank piece of paper for us to continue working on. So when I tap this button, it's going to put my toolbar over here to the side, and I still have some of the features available right here that I can use in my lesson as I'm continuing on. And then when I'm ready to move back to whiteboard, I just tap that icon again and it takes me back in. So what I'm going to do is I want us to focus on this practice problem together, and we're going to use this to continue writing our notes in our notebook. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this part of my book. And I'm going to do that by tapping on the screenshot or screen capture icon. And I'm going to choose the free rectangle. And when I let go, it's going to put it right into my whiteboard. So now I can use my pen tool and I can annotate right on it. It's like I'm writing on my book. So when I choose it, this is now an image. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, whatever I need to do. And I'm ready to tap on the pen tool so that I can write through this with my students and continue on in our notes. If I wanted to, I could bring lined paper back in as well, and that would put it behind this image that I could continue writing my notes to show them how to write on the lines in their notebooks. we are going to go back to the curriculum, and I'm just going to toggle that button again to bring me back here. And we've gone through, we've done some practice problems, and I noticed that my students are having a difficult time lining up the problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into whiteboard, and we're going to do a couple of these problems with graph paper as the background so they can see to line up each of the place values together. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to open up a new page, and I'm doing that by just hitting this plus sign at the bottom. And if I need to refer back to a page that I've already used, I just tap the number, and that will bring up, kind of like in Google Slides, how you have a list of all your slides. That's basically what I have here, just a list of all my slides that are available to me, or that I've worked on so far. So I have a new page. I'm going to go back to the backgrounds. I'm going to scroll down. I have a couple different options here. I can choose whatever it is that I need, and that is the one that I want. Now it puts the background on it, and I can zoom in and zoom out to make these squares as big or as small as I want them to be. They're a little bit small for me to write in, so I'm going to zoom in. I got to remember to use the hand. The hand manipulates this. When I tap on the hand, I'm able to zoom out, and now I have some boxes that I can show the students how to line up problems. So I want to go back into my Savvas. I want to take a screenshot of some practice problems. It's going to put it right into my Canvas. I can make them a little bit bigger so my students can see. And now when I show them to line up the problems, I have it right here. I'm not having to go back and forth, back and forth. Or, of course, I could have my teacher's manual with me to teach from. But as you can tell, I like to talk with my hands. So holding my book doesn't always work for me. So now when I line up, I'm going to show them 5, 2, 7, minus 3, 3, 8. And you may be saying to yourself, well, that pen is a little bit thick. I would need it a lot thinner than that. Of course, I have that capability over here in my pen tool. All I have to do is make that pen size a little bit smaller, and now it won't be as thick. And then if I wanted to, I could use other colors to show each of the steps with my students. I'm going to tell them, okay, we have to start with the ones place. Let's use red to start with the ones place. So I would use red. I would show that we're going to need to regroup. We need to take 10 from the tens place and bring it over. So now they can see with different colors the steps that need to happen. And that 10 comes up here and makes it 17. Now we can subtract. Then I want to go to the next spot, so I'm going to choose a different color. And I have lots of colors available to me. So we can do practice problems together. I can, again, keep adding in the graph paper. Or if I go back to that hand tool, like I said earlier, now I can move this up. I'm done with that problem. I'm going to move it up and out of the way, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep writing problems, as many as I need. And then I want to show the kids all the work that we did, so I'm going to zoom in. And now we have everything right there. Obviously a lot smaller than it was, but if I had a bunch of practice problems, I would then have them all listed on my screen. So I'm going to go back into Savvas. Again, toggling back. And now we are going to do the practice page as a class. We're going to work on that for our independent practice. But before they get started, I want them to work on this problem in their groups. And when they go into their groups, they're going to work together to solve that answer. And when they're done, I want them to actually come up to the board and share what they have done in their groups. So the way that I'm going to do that is through participate mode in my ViewBoard whiteboard. When I go back to my ViewBoard whiteboard, It is another button that brings up a really great interactive lesson. If you're having kids work in groups, this is an excellent way for you to be able to take the answers that they did with their group and have them share it up here with the rest of the class. So let me show you participate mode. So here we are back in Whiteboard. I have taken a screenshot of that problem that I want the kids to work on. They're working on it in their groups. We are waiting for them to be finished, and as they finish, they're going to come up to the board and write their answers in participate mode. So that is located down here next to where you chose your backgrounds. When you tap that, it will open up spaces for however many groups you have, certain number of groups, to come up and write their answers. So let's say I have 6 groups. I'm going to choose this icon that has 6 little figures on it. And that puts up 6 boxes up here that the groups can come up and share their answers with me. They each have their own designated space. They can use your pen. They can use any stylus that you have in the classroom. They can use their finger. They can use, if they have a stylus in their Chromebooks, whatever it is that they can come up here and they can write into their box what they got as a group as their answers. They can include their names, whatever it is that you want them to write. And you may be saying, what about the kids who can't reach the top of my board? Simple solution. You're going to tap this arrow button, and that moves the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top. The nice thing is, when they do their annotations in the boxes, it stays there as you move them. So if I need to put it back, that child's work is still there in the box that they drew it in. So we have worked together in their groups. They shared their answers up here in participate mode. I'm ready to get back to my original lesson. So I'm going to click the X to get out of participate mode. Takes me back to my original slideshow. And I can go back over into Savvas so that we can continue on with our practice page. So I hope you learned some easy ways that you can use your ViewBoard to teach a math lesson using Savvas and not have to connect a document camera. I didn't have to connect my document camera this whole lesson. I was able to have my students take notes. I did not have to toggle back and forth between my document camera and the program. The kids got to interact with the YouTube video. They got to share their responses to their group work up to the board. And it was very easy for me as a teacher to have those tabs open and ready to go ahead of time. But if I couldn't do that, it's okay. I can be pulling those up while my kids are getting on the right page and getting all their materials out. If you have questions on how to use your ViewBoard to teach, or you would like some ideas of how to incorporate technology into your teaching, the tech trainers are here to help. We would love to walk you through that. So please reach out, email or phone, and we would love to meet with you and help make your teaching with your ViewBoard a little bit easier. So thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.